essentially what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion about Disney World, Walt Disney World, Orlando, Florida. Specifically going to focus on the two parks that we visited 2 weekends ago, a week and a half ago, Magic Kingdom and EPCOT. And what we're really going to focus on is being fat and going to Disney. So, big guy, you know, just recently had the bariatric surgery, so I'm slowly working my way down. But, you know, I know 4 or 5 years ago when I first went to Disney or was thinking about taking the kids to Disney, as big of a Disney lover as I am, because I'm a big guy and I've always been a big guy, I'm never sure I'll be able to ride the rides or, you know, watch the shows and stuff due to seating. So that's always been a big worry of mine. And I did as much research as I could, and I found like written reports where people were like, yeah, you know, they're okay. You know, they're big people friendly. And that was nice, that was cool, so that kind of helped me decide, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to get our passes, and that was in like 2013. But I realized that in my research, I never really saw some of the seats and stuff. I tried my best, and I know I did a terrible job with it, of showing the seats and stuff, and a lot of the rides. Now, preface that by saying a lot of the rides, the seats were fine. Most of the stuff I rode by myself or with my daughter. So if it's you and a small kid, trust me, no big deal. Spaceship Earth inside the EPCOT ball, not a problem. The Little Mermaid, not a problem. I think I rode Little Mermaid by myself, actually. In most of the rides, me and one of my kids can ride together. My wife and I have never tried riding together. That's why I want to get us down there and do a solo trip with just me and her, so we can actually ride some of these rides together and just kind of see how it is. Because, you know, my wife's she's a full-figured lady. And so I kind of want to see what it's like for us to sit side by side and how comfortable it would be. Now, some of the rides, I can look at the seats and be like, that's not going to happen. Goofy's Barnstormer, where it's the airplane in Fantasyland in Magic Kingdom. No, I'm not riding next to my wife because we'd be squished and it wouldn't work out well. So, and I've ridden it before, and she rode one seat ahead of me and I rode behind her. So, like I said, there are some things I know just by looking at them. So I kind of wanted to do this little video, this review for you guys, and talk about the seats, talk about the rides themselves. So like I said, the ones I've named already, okay. The one I always have a little bit of trouble with is Soarin'. The seat is a little small, but not terrible. I can sit in the seat and everything. The hardest part is that when you buckle in, the buckle is like behind me because I'm such a big guy. So that's I usually have a little bit of trouble getting that one buckled. Sometimes I have my wife give me a hand because it's easier. She can see the buckle because it's so far down and behind me. I can lean a little and she can snap it in real quick. It fits plenty of room by any means whatsoever. That belt has got at least a few more feet to go before it's even a concern. You know, and getting up there and riding the ride, absolutely amazing. No problems whatsoever. The seat's a little snug, but beyond that, it's a great ride. The seatbelt fits. So, and again, I weigh, well, when we went to Disney before, I was probably in the 500 range. When we went this time, I was in the 500 range. In fact, as of October the 6th, which was after Disney, I'm down to like 492 after my surgery and stuff. So, I'm a big guy. Yeah. Now, difference is I carry a lot of my weight differently because I'm taller. So that could be an issue for some people. You know, it just all depends on how and where you carry your weight. But like I said, that belt had plenty of space. So, and the seat, like I said, a little snug, but it was it's still a comfortable experience. Once you're up there and you're, you know, moving along with the screen, you don't even realize the seat. So, sticking with EPCOT, Finding Nemo, or Nemo Under the Seas, no big deal. Figment, no big deal. In fact, in Figment, me, my son and JJ rode in the back seat. Yeah, so it was me, Jordan, and JJ, and then Kristen and Allie rode in the front seat. So now the only issue I had with that one was you will have to turn sideways to step in. Most adults are going to have to. When you put your foot on the seat, step up and over. Like, I'm not saying like swing your leg, but make sure you get your hips high enough to get over past the door. Because the first time that was a little bit of an issue. Like, I stepped in and was just going to slide right in, and the door caught me and kind of bounced me out. So I will tell you that there's a little bit of a trick to the Figment ride when it comes to it, because the door sticks out just a little bit further. It doesn't slide all the way back into the crevice, so it sticks out just a little bit. So you want to make sure that when you step up into it, you're getting your hips over the door where the door comes out. Otherwise, that can kind of give you a issue. I think for me, it wasn't even so much that my size gave me an issue. I think it caught my pocket, and I went up, in, and bounced right back out. So, like I said, I don't necessarily think that was my size. I think my pocket just caught. I have those issues, dust me, it's just weird. But I would say, you know, be mindful of that should you ride the Figment ride. Let's see, what other ride? The Mexico Pavilion ride. That's a cool ride. I'll never do it again. Not even so much because of my weight or anything, but I'm 6'2", and I was second row from the back, and I basically had to sit, these are my knees, I had to sit like this, you know, and like, again, me, Jordan, and JJ all sat in the same row, but it was like, it was so uncomfortable because I had to keep my legs so far apart and tucked in. It's similar to, it to me felt smaller than It's a Small World, and I've only ridden that one once because of the boat. Let's see. So, I mean, if you've never ridden it, give it one try. But I'm telling you right now, if you're tall, you're not gonna be comfortable. And it, to the point that it kind of felt like a longer than needed ride, but it wasn't. It's like a 10-15 minute ride, maybe. Also, the queue line for that one's really small because they've got so much packed into that that temple. The queue line, like, you got to be careful. Like, I didn't walk normal. I like straight. I turned to the side and walked sideways, just so I wasn't like bumping into people on either side. What else did we ride there? Test Track. So one of the concerns I had with Test Track again was the seat and the seat belts. I sat in the front middle, and it was fine. I will tell you, being long-legged, that was a smidge of an issue. The seats, again, are a little bit small, similar to, in the sense that Soarin's a little bit small. But beyond that, the seatbelts got extra room. And I will tell you, the trick I had was when I pulled the seatbelt all the way out, leaned up like this, and was able to buckle it in no problem. I was able to unbuckle no problem. I say no problem, it was you gotta lean over and unbuckle as well. The weirdest part on Test Track was the front of the car slants up. So if you're on this seat or this seat, not only does it slant up, but there's like a little shelf that runs like this, you know? And so I think if you had longer legs, sitting on these sides would be really uncomfortable, or you'd have like a leg bumped into that thing, and it could be really uncomfortable on your leg because you're putting pressure on this like corner. So I would say if you're taller and or bigger, aim for a middle seat. I sat in the front because it had more leg room. My wife sat in the back seat and didn't complain of any issues. So it was her, Allie, and JJ in the back, and me and Jordan rode in the front. And we probably could have put one other person in the front with us and had plenty of room, no big deal. But the seats themselves I didn't mind. the weirdest thing was like on the drops and stuff, I kept feeling like I was sliding a little bit, because the seats they're like plastic and they're kind of slick. So like I kept my feet firmly planted in front of me, like pushing back, holding myself. Because there's the bar on the front dashboard of this car for you to hold on to, but it's too far away. Like, I'm not holding on to that. Like, I feel like I'm gonna lean forward and slam my head in. So I was like pushing back with my legs, like, and then we did it twice because we stood in line for like 45 minutes, an hour or so when it rained. So we did it twice, and like by the time I got off, I was like, man, my thighs are sore. And that was just from holding myself in place. But it was an amazing ride and definitely worth the wait. And the seats were great. They were totally fine. Plenty of room on the seat belt. You know, you just, like I said, pull up all the way, lean, buckle it in, good to go. And I mean, even with that, I prompted my son. I was like, hey, I might need your help with just buckling the seatbelt because I won't be able to see it. But it sticks out so far, it was really easy to find, even not looking. So, test track. What else did we do? We did the Spaceship Earth. I don't think there was... We did Soarin'. Oh, I have done Living with the Land before, when we had our passes a few years ago. It's a great boat ride. It's got a decent amount of leg room, not a ton, but it's not an issue. And they're bench seats. All the boats are bench seats, so that's not a problem. Living with the Land, if you're into gardening and stuff like that, Living with the Land's a pretty cool ride. Like, you get to see how Disney does some of their gardening and how they grow year-round stuff, or how they grow certain things. It's pretty neat. So if you like that aspect of it, Living with the Land's really fun. And not only that, it's a 20-minute boat ride in the air conditioning, so that's always worth it. And the queue line's not necessarily always that long. Finding Nemo, it's a shell, you know, bar comes down. That's an easy one. It's not a big deal. Usually we'll do that. I think Allie and I wrote it together in this one. Like I said, when Kristen and I go, we'll ride in the same shell or whatever, the same seats, just to see how it goes. Then I'll give you guys some information, some feedback on, you know, two bigger people trying to ride together. I rode the Frozen ride before it was Frozen, when it was Nordstrom. No, I think it's Nordstrom. No, that's probably wrong. Anyways, the boat ride in Norway. If it's the same boats, bench seats, decent amount of leg room, no big deal. I don't know. I know Christian wants to ride it when we go one time, so we're gonna try and ride it, and I'll let you know if they've updated the boats and if they're smaller. But beyond that, it wasn't anything terrible. I remember it, and it was a fun ride, nice little drop at the end. But the boats, if they're the same boats, which I don't see them completely redoing the boats, maybe to put more people in, so it's possible, but they were fine. What else is in Epcot? I haven't tried Mission Earth, so I don't know about that one. I don't know if there's any other ones. I feel like I'm missing something in Epcot. Shucks. I think that's it. I think that's it for Epcot. I think that's the only ones I can remember. Magic Kingdom. Okay. Magic Kingdom. We'll start with Dumbo Ride. I've done the Dumbo Ride before. Me and Allie can ride together. I will tell you, she was a little squished, so it's not the best one to ride. It's got decent seats if you want to ride it by yourself. The seat belts fit. You know, if you get a little kid with you, there may be a little bit of, you know, they may have a little less room. But what I did for her was I, you know, leaned back into the corner and threw my arm behind her, so she had plenty of room and stuff like that. Let's see, Dumbo. The trains, Little tricky getting in and out of the train that goes around the park. Just, you know, stepping in sideways, making sure you step up and over, getting your hips past the rail of the seat. But it's a bench seat, plenty of, or decent amount of leg room. So the train's easy peasy. Okay, on to It's a Small World. I've only ridden it once, not a lot of leg room, and it's not my favorite ride. It haunts my nightmares. Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion's kind of like Little Mermaid, so they're similar. They're in like a shell thing. Me and Allie rode together this last time, and I think Kristen and, no, the boys rode in one. I think Kristen rode by herself, and me and Allie rode in one. They say they're 3-seaters. I'm not so sure if I would put me, Kristen, and Allie in one, because I feel like Allie wouldn't have a lot of room. So, but for a bigger person, you know, they're not, these aren't thrill rides. So the bar comes down, plenty of room between you and the bar, and the seats are bench seats inside this big seashell looking thing. So Haunted Mansion's good to go. So is Little Mermaid. Buzz Lightyear bench seats. Me and Allie rode together. I think the boys rode behind us, and I think Kristen rode by herself that time. Those are 2-seaters, not a big deal. Bar comes down. Now keep in mind, I also carry a backpack on all these rides, and that backpack goes between my legs or beside my feet or beside me on the ride. So keep that in mind, that I'm adding a backpack to all of this. Include my backpack when I say plenty of room. Buzz Lightyear, plenty of room. You know, the bar comes back, you spin around, you shoot things. It's a pretty cool little ride. Stitch's Great Escape, when it's open, I have seats, not a problem. I was worried because I was going to be too tall when the bar came down. It didn't, because they've got like those sensors so it hits your shoulders and stops. So that was a good ride. That was pretty decent. Or, I mean, I like the Stitch. So, People Mover, bench seat, you could probably do comfortably one person here, one person there, or one person and a kid, one person and a kid. I don't necessarily say that would be a good one where you'd ride side by side. It just wouldn't be a lot of room, no matter who you are, really. So, Carousel of Progress. The seats are small. I tend to sit on the edge of the seat and kind of lean back a little bit, or sit on the edge of the seats and lean forward. Leaning back's not that easy. You get the handles of the seats in your back, so if you can kind of like twist and shimmy in, you can lean back, but you're going to be watching the show at an angle. The seats aren't big people friendly for Carousel of Progress. I kind of wish they were bench seats and or just armless seats. Keeping in mind with that one, Mickey's PhilharMagic is the same way. You know, they're trying to get as many people into each show as possible, so the seats are smaller. They've got arms on them. Armed seats are the bane of my existence and always have been. So I can go see those, but I keep in mind that I have to sit on the edge of the seat and kind of like put my arms on my elbows and lean forward so people behind me can see. But I'm not sitting comfortable on either two of those rides. You just can't. So I know my wife can sit in them and she can slide all the way back. Oh shoot. And not necessarily be a problem. I don't think she's comfortable, but she can manage it. She's a little bit smaller than I am, a decent size smaller than I am. What else? Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if I've talked about this one. I can't remember now. Pirates of the Caribbean, boat ride, bench seats. I sat in the front the last time we went, so I had plenty of leg room. I've sat in the back seats, and it has a fair amount of leg room, more than It's a Small World. So that's okay. Bench seats, you know, 2 or 3 people can sit on that, and you're good to go. What else did we ride? I've rode the Jungle Cruise before. It's a boat. They're bench seats. It's not a big deal. You know, it's a comfortable enough ride. And it's not like the Pirates of the Caribbean boat or anything like that. Like, it's an actual boat, and there's benches on the outside, and then there's like places on the inside of the boat you can sit. So there's legroom's not really ever an issue because there's not like a wall directly in front of you for most of the rides. So yeah, Jungle Cruise, easy peasy. That's fun stuff. The big barge, or the big ferry boat that goes around the center, is pretty awesome too. It's, you know, you sit pretty much anywhere. They've got benches and things like that. So that Space Mountain, couldn't tell you. Haven't ridden it. Kristen said the seats were small, and I'm not riding it because I'm 6'2", and I have a weird fear that I'm gonna slam my head into the roof. So maybe one day when I'm a little bit smaller. Trying to think what else I've ridden there. Peter Pan, not worth the hour wait that it usually is. Get a fast pass, but you're in basically a boat that flies similar to the shell boats, or the shell carts that like Little Mermaid used. Bar comes down, plenty of room. Me and Allie rode together the last time, or me and Jordan rode together that time. So I've ridden that one. Teacups, I'm going to say, are a little bit of a pain in the butt, especially if you're taller or have gigantic, enormous feet, which I do. So, like, I had to sit with my feet in, like, a weird position, and my stomach did hit the center spin thing, so it was hard to spin the teacup. But I was able to do it, so it was fun. You know, I enjoyed it. I didn't do the Tomorrowland Speedway because I can look at it and see that I think my stomach would probably hit the steering wheel and make it hard to steer. I think that's it. Story time with Belle is bench seats. I mean, you walk for the most part, but then when you're sitting, it's a bench seat. Country Time Bears, bench seat, awesome. I don't know why they don't do bench seats in all of their shows. It should be in Carousel of Progress. It should be in Mickey's PhilharMagic. It should be all their shows. They should be bench seats. I think that'd be a lot more beneficial and comfortable for a lot of people. I mean, I get it. You know, when these things were built, typical person was 5'9", 150 pounds. I get it. But I think it would help out if they were bench seats in some of these places. I can kind of see why they're not in Carousel of Progress, because there's probably that worry that somebody's going to fall out because the thing moves. But I still think it would help out. I think that's it. That's it for those two parks. I'm not going to review any of the other parks till we go back and I can ride them current. So that way I kind of know, you know, it's fresh in my mind. And I mean, yeah, I talked about some rides that we didn't ride this time, but I remember those. They're fresh in my mind. I can compare those. And they haven't had any refurbishments on those rides since then. But yeah, I'll stick to just the two parks that we visited this time. Hoping to get back soon. Hoping the wife and I can go do a solo trip and just go enjoy the parks. It's great. I really, really enjoy taking the kids. But it's a little bit of a step stress because you're constantly worrying where they're at, and people tend not to care. So I think a solo trip for me and Chris will be awesome. I think that's all the rides I've ridden in Magic Kingdom. There are some roller coasters that we didn't get to, you know, in previous trips, and we didn't get to this trip, that I'm hoping that we'll get to in future trips. Don't think there's any other rides and or shows that we've done. We did do the carousel last time we went, years before. I mean, it's a carousel, you know. think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So this has just been like a little review, a little guide on going to Walt Disney World, specifically Magic Kingdom and EPCOT, and being a bigger person and riding the rides. I hope you enjoyed this information. If you've got anything you want to add, any questions you have about it, about my experiences in the park, keeping in mind that I just recently had bariatric surgery, so there's a lot of things I can't eat. I've got to hit like a 90-gram protein goal every day, you know, and I managed to do it in the parks while we were there. And managed to hit my like 70-ounce hydration goal. So if you've got any questions about the parks, about the seating, about going to the parks with bariatric surgery, anything like that, please ask away in the comments. I love getting your comments. I love reading them and answering them. I really want to thank everybody that is subscribed, that has subscribed to the channel. It's super cool that we're up to 28 subscribers as of this morning. I'm super stoked about it, and I enjoy doing these videos. I enjoy editing them and getting them out there, and you know, when people watch them and comment, it makes it that more exciting. So I definitely appreciate everybody that watches and everybody that comments. If you watch and don't comment, I appreciate you too. Just knowing that people are enjoying this, it makes this so much more worth it. Not that it's not, but it adds that extra level of how cool it is to do this. So definitely appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed and you're seeing this video, do me a favor and give me a subscribe. You know, keep checking back. We're going to do Disney a lot more this year because we did get our annual passes. Just posted some videos if you're just coming across the channel where we did trips over the weekend to Magic Kingdom and EPCOT for its 35th. That was an accident. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to say adieu. I'm probably saying that wrong. I love you guys. I definitely thank you for watching. Share the channel with your friends and your family. Let them enjoy the ramblings of a sometimes madman and a sometimes, I don't know what I am the other times. Till tomorrow.